You know, it's really funny because in one of our previous videos, it was the Cole Caulfield is the most popular hockey player in the world video, we spoke about different websites and what exactly they do to rank players in terms of page views and in terms of trending numbers, all that stuff. And one of the top rated players on Elite Prospects in terms of page views all time is William Nylander. He's literally the third highest viewed player on the entire Elite Prospects website with 1.3 million page views. He's ahead of Jack Hughes, Ovechkin, Matthews, Laine, Pedersen, Dahlin, Lafreniere, all these very good players, just showcasing how oddly popular Nylander has been over the past few years. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that there are always new trade discussions going on about this guy, which is what we're talking about here in this video, as we go over what exactly Brian Burke said as he guested on the recent episode of the Spittin Chiclets Podcast. Now, this is a video where I give my opinions talking about Brian Burke's opinion, because Brian Burke's opinion is very, very clear. Let's go over onto an article on NHLTradeRumors.me, where the writer, Shug McSween, ends up going over what exactly it is Brian Burke says. Now, obviously, we know Brian Burke was the mastermind behind the late 2000s, early 2010s Toronto Maple Leafs. You could say he was good, he was bad, or whatever, but the fact is, he was there. So there is always a little bit of an association made between Brian Burke and this Toronto Maple Leafs team. So, as he was a guest on the Spittin Chiclets podcast, they asked him about the current state of the Maple Leafs, and needless to say, Burke did not hold back. When asked if the Maple Leafs can win with 3 forwards making north of $10 million, Brian Burke's response was no. When asked what the Leafs could do to improve their financial situation, he says this: "It gets better. How about giving 4 guys $40 million? They have half their cap, it's $81.5 million, $40 million in 4 guys, so guess what? The math doesn't work. They've got to trade Nylander and get a defenseman." Now this is obviously, as it's noted in the article, it's a bold statement, and in fact, it's never really been out of the ordinary to see Brian Burke talk about the idea of trading Nylander. Here's an article on Sportsnet from January of 2019, where Burke is saying the same thing. The Leafs need to trade Nylander in the offseason. He said that he thought they were going to do it in the 2019 offseason. But alas, we all kind of know that William Nylander has not been traded. He survived all the trade rumors from before he signed his contract to all the stuff about Vancouver where people were talking about that back and forth. I remember William Nylander was one of the more popular names here in Vancouver, and not for good reason. Not because he was a Canuck, but because people were saying, oh, we should give up a good Branson or whatever for him. And like, I get that the trade values there definitely are not the same, but William Nylander, 24 years old, right-wing player, 5'11", 196 pounds, you kind of know what William Nylander is about. He's on a contract until 2024, making an average annual value of just under $7 million. However, in the most recent season of play, he had 59 points in 68 games. Let's do this right here. 59 divided... Oh, I put the decimal there accidentally, divided by 68 multiplied by 82. That's a 71-point pace. William Nylander has gotten better and better as the years have gone on. And he also made a pretty good staple at the 2020 Stanley Cup playoffs in the play-in series against the Columbus Blue Jackets, getting 4 points in 5 games played. You could certainly say that William Nylander for the Maple Leafs was very good, especially in comparison to the rest of his teammates. Guys like Mitch Marner, for example, not really receiving all the love in that department. But Brian Burke said it here, that the Maple Leafs are in a position where it's tough to win with 4 guys getting $40 million, and that's obviously in total. You're not mathematically able to give 4 guys separately $40 million each, but right now, as I'm recording this video, the Toronto Maple Leafs have 11.6 tied up in Austin Matthews, 11 in John Tavares, 10.89 in Marner, and 6.9 in Nylander. Let's do the old calculation machine over here. What's 11.6 plus 11 plus 10.89 plus 6.9. That is indeed $40 million spread into 4 players right there. Now, you can say what you want about who needs to be traded, whether or not one was a mistake or whatever. That was a video we made a few weeks ago. But for William Nylander, and this is kind of where I give my own opinion here, I kind of think Nylander is the most valuable out of the 4. in terms of the overall contract perspective, because Nylander was never really supposed to be a franchise-altering talent who could be a point-per-game guy consistently year in and year out, like a John Tavares or an Austin Matthews can be. William Nylander was supposed to be a complementary scoring forward, and that's kind of what you're getting. You're getting the best version of that right now. Nylander was on pace for 70-ish points, and the fact that he's only 24, you have this idea that says that he's probably going to get better. This is a guy who has a very solid playmaking ability, and he's made his living being able to carry the puck, hold on to it, and spot guys to and fro. Nylander has a very specific skill set that honestly thrives on the right conditions. And if you take a look at it from a holistic team value point of view, you take a look at the contract, take a look at the impact, take a look at the offensive production and all that stuff, Nylander, you could debate, is more valuable than the guys who are making over 10. Now, I know Marner penalty kills, which is a completely other thing, and Austin Matthews is supposed to be your franchise goal scorer, and he's the youngest out of the bunch. John Tavares, completely other argument right there. He is an $11 million player who, I don't know, you could say, probably deserves the $11 million contract. Not in the terms that the Leafs overpaid for him or whatever. That's always going to be the case when you have free agents, especially big, high-quality free agents. You're always going to overpay. It's just now taking a look at the way the Leafs are assembled, where they are still, at the time of this recording, over the salary cap. Would you rather have a William Nylander with $6.9 million as an AAV, or a defenseman worth that number? Because that is the proposal that Brian Burke makes here. They have to trade Nylander and get a defenseman. Now, I get that he says "and," but there's an implication there that one leads to the other. So for the sake of just making things cool, let's go over onto capfriendly.com and take a look at active players. Let's go over to defenseman. If we go to the position, let's fill out defense, and then we'll change the contract. Make it a max contract of $7 million. If you update the results over here, you can see who has a $7 million cap hit. You have Marc-Edouard Vlasic, Brent Seabrook. Okay, probably not. Ivan Provorov, Ryan McDonough, Mark Giordano, Kevin Shattenkirk, Torrey Krug, Justin Falk, Cam Fowler, Keith Yandel, Morrissey, Ryan Ellis, and Tyler Myers. So this is kind of the ballpark of defensemen that could be in that range if you trade a Nylander for a D. And honestly, if I had to choose out of this list right here, out of the guys who are making from $7 million to $6 million, from 1 to 17, including Edler, Dumba, Johnson, Boychuk, there's probably only like 2 players on this list, in my opinion, that I would rather have instead of a William Nylander. Like, would I rather have Nylander or Vlasic? I'd go Nylander. Seabrook? I'd go Nylander. For Provorov, you really can make a debate. He's 23 years old, he's young, he's very good. Ryan McDonough, Mark Giordano, they're next. They're good players, but they are on the older side, so I don't know if you would actually say you would want that. Then going over into the next ones, Torrey Krug, Justin Falk, a lot of these guys I'd rather have Nylander instead, and that's kind of a testament to just the overall value of the contract, because if you change this experiment from defensemen from $7 million up to the $11 million range, which is where Matthews and Tavares are, for example, then you have a whole different list of results. Would you rather have Matthews or Roman Josi? That's a difficult discussion. Would you rather have John Tavares or Thomas Chabot? Obviously, I'm nitpicking the ones that make sense, but there is a little bit of a status quo that does exist, in my opinion, that says that I'd rather have Nylander than a lot of the defensemen who are available at this cap hit. So to me, I honestly think you gotta trade some of the other guys if you want to make a trade. There's no guarantee that any of the big 4 are gonna go, but if one had to, I wouldn't say it would have to be Nylander, because I think the way this guy plays, the way his contract is laid out, he is quite literally the cheapest guy here. So I don't know if it's enough to justify trading him away in order to compensate for the overpayments made for guys like Tavares, Marner, and Matthews. And again, you can even say those aren't overpayments, it's just the status quo of how the market is shaped up. It's just very unfortunate that it's kind of the way that the Leafs are assembled now, because they are over the cap, and at the time of this recording, they still need to make some moves. So talk to me in the comments what you think about Brian Burke's comments on whether or not the Maple Leafs should trade Nylander. Again, it's not a new topic. He spoke about this before on Sportsnet, but I want you to talk to me in the comments what you think. I know we've been talking about William Nylander trade discussion for like years now. I mentioned Vancouver earlier in the video. This guy seriously was a Vancouver discussion piece all those years ago. So it's kind of funny how even after he's gotten that contract, even after he started proving himself as a player who improves year over year, there still are some people out there who are like, yeah, this guy needs to be traded. What are you doing, Dubas? Why do you have this guy? So talk to me in the comments what you think. If you enjoyed this edition of Trolls 99, and bye.